What's going on, everybody? It's Matt and Alex with DrumBo, and today we have a special guest.
Dana Chudyk, head chef at the Honeypot Eatery and Pub. Today we're going to do DrumBo 101, answering common questions so you have a better experience with your DrumBo.
Starting at ground zero with how to light your chimney,
Filling your basket, how to season your drum before you start,
opening your charcoal bag. Don't be a drum bonehead and open it like this guy. Before we get started, we thought we'd get to know our guest a little bit better. Dana, tell us why you're here. What do you want to learn?
I've been cooking for 20 years. Never cooked on anything like this before, just a regular barbecue. Would like to learn how and yeah, be able to use that at home.
Danes, we've worked together now for 20 years. I know we've chatted about these things, and I know you have a lot of questions on how they work, how it's going to operate, how you adjust it, all those sort of things. So if you want to fire off some questions to us, we'll go through it.
Yeah, I have tons of questions. One of them being, am I going to blow myself up with this thing?
Actually, that's a really easy question to answer. You are not going to blow yourself up with this thing. However, this is a product that has to be used outdoors. It produces carbon monoxide. So it is absolutely critical that once you start using this, you're going to do it only outdoors.
Yep. Safety never takes a holiday. How many years am I going to get out of this thing?
It will last virtually indefinitely. You are going to be actually able to will this to your grandchildren. So value for money, this is a great product.
Right, yeah.
So when you buy one for Chris, you'll be sick to death of cooking on it.
I'm already sick to death. Do I have to smoke on it, or can I just use it as a normal barbecue?
You can use it as a normal barbecue as well. Smoking on it is its primary purpose. It is basically a huge outdoor live fire oven. In a few weeks, we're going to be coming out with a modification to it. And this modification will allow you to use it just like a propane barbecue.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to be able to sear your steaks on it. You're going to be able to cook your burgers on it, hot dogs, whatever you want. And it's going to have that same effect of a propane barbecue.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What kind of utensils do I need to run this thing?
Pretty much the same as any regular barbecue. You're going to need tongs for moving your food around. Anything that you need to turn and move your meat. These are used for pulling pork. Not that I have actually ever used them for pulling pork. What they are fantastic for is if you have a roast, you can stab it in there, you can move it around, and you actually have really good manipulation with these.
Or if you want to be Wolverine for Halloween.
Yep.
Rather than the reason.
Yeah, those are very cool.
Cooking veggies, something like this, cooking shrimp, then you're going to use barbecue mats.
Okay.
Okay?
What are those made out of?
Kevlar, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah. Obviously, sharp knives, basting brushes, the special screwdriver that we use to remove the membrane off the back of ribs.
What you using there?
The screwdriver I ground down one day.
Do I need a thermometer?
You should always use a thermometer.
98.6. 100%. This is the only way, not only to cook barbecue actually, but to cook almost everything. Yeah. I mean, you know yourself, in our industry, thermometers and testing and making sure that if we're cooking a steak the right way, we want a medium rare steak, we know that we're going to cook it within that temperature parameter. And this Thermopen Mark IV, probably the best thermometer ever made as far as we're concerned. When you're cooking on it, you can also watch what's happening inside your barbecue by using something like a fireboard. So yes, you need a thermometer. And you can't buy a thermometer that's too good. Buy the best one you can afford.
Okay.
Okay?
It's the last line of defense between you and
burning your food, yeah. If you want burnt food, you go by time. If you want properly cooked food, you go by temperature.
How much charcoal am I going to need per cook?
That's a good question. A bag of charcoal is going to last you a long time temperature-wise in that drum. You're going to be able to easily do a brisket. You're going to be able to do 4 pieces of pulled pork, or 4 pork butts. You're going to be able to do a lot of ribs. The bigger the piece of meat, the more charcoal you're going to use. Okay. If you're doing ribs, it's not going to take that much charcoal. You can get away with half a basket.
Okay.
Like some people have it down to the briquette of what they need.
Oh.
So you have to get to know your own drum, right? And that's the best thing about it.
How long does a bag of charcoal last the average person?
It depends on how much air you're putting into the drum. Okay, more air, more hot, faster burn.
Okay.
Okay.
Which uses your charcoal up faster.
But you bring up an interesting point: is how long does charcoal last? You can see these charcoals here. These are all different types of charcoal, right? We've got the classic briquette there. We've got the big lump charcoal, Jealous Devil. Amazing stuff, lasts really well, and as it says, hotter than hell. It really does burn hot.
Oh, it's hot.
We've just tried this lump charcoal, Springbok Bray from Prairie Smoke and Spice, and one of those burns amazingly well. And what it does is it really burns incredibly evenly. Never seen charcoal actually burn as evenly as that charcoal.
It was a nice cook with that.
Yeah. Price is a big consideration for people, right? Because, I mean, if you're trying to feed your family and you also want barbecue, Royal Oak is generally on sale.
Trust me,
Everywhere
Royal
you
Oak.
want to go, you know,
Canadian Tire, $8.99.
Oh, yeah.
every day of the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it gives out a nice flavor. There's a lot of char in there coming from the Royal Oak, and it's always just been a good briquette.
It's a good place to learn as well because it cooks the same every time. It's not too expensive, so you can really learn how to cook with your charcoal. Because it does take time to get the hang of using a charcoal grill. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah, and as you get to know charcoal too, you'll get to know the way your drum operates. They all run differently. They're handmade, right? So as you get to know your drum, you're gonna know that drum better than anybody else, and you know exactly where your air vents are. As you get to know charcoal, you also get to know your drum as well, so it's really nice.
Okay, makes sense. The only way to learn is to get your hands dirty, right?
That's right.
Cool. So how much wood am I going to use per cook?
A lot of the times we don't even cook with wood. We will just use the flavor from the actual charcoal that we use.
The wood is here to enhance the flavor, not overpower. When you're cooking over wood or using wood, it's really easy to make a bitter taste. Less is more, generally.
You'll know when you got that strong taste, it's a strong flavor, and you'll be like, ooh, there's a little bit of wood in there. So you just gotta be careful. And like the Jealous Devil, I thought gave off a really good flavor, and it's also very hot. You try to run your fire, right? So you try to make sure you got the cleanest of smoke coming out of there, clean fire. And with that clean smoke, your heavy woods won't soot.
Okay. How do I know what kind of wood to use?
When we are cooking, say briskets or those richer meats, we'll use more of a hickory or mesquite. And then when you have a lighter meat, chicken, pork, we'll use more of a fruit wood. Add that extra little light flavor of smoke.
Apple.
Apple. Apple's a very common one.
Apple and pork, yeah.
Apple and pork.
Use what you have in your province, I mean, if you're cooking down east, then you'd use maple, right? We're not going to use that here because we don't have sugar maples anyway. And people are always trimming their apple trees, their plum trees. Salvage this stuff.
There
It's
you go.
free.
Go pick it up.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You don't even have to buy it.
Yeah, and then it's really all natural after that point. You get that Alberta flavor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do I light it?
So there's many ways of lighting one of your pits. In our instances, we commonly use what's called the chimney, and we use 4 pieces of newspaper underneath that chimney, and then we put our charcoal inside of that, and then we would light it with just a torch, and then you let that set up for about 10 to 15 minutes until your flames start coming up, and then that would indicate it's ready to go inside your charcoal basket. There's multiple other ways you can do this. You can use wax cubes, tumbleweeds, like shredded wood with wax. You light them, you stick them in your charcoal, and then you let it sit for another either 10 or 15 minutes until your fire starts going, and then you can do what we would do with the chimney. Another way you could do this is use a torch. Stick a torch down in there, fire it up, and then let it go until you're ready to go. Obviously do that at your own risk, but we find that the most easy way to get a charcoal basket running at full capacity is to use a chimney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pour your chimney carefully into the basket so as we don't have any injuries.
Once those things are hot, that's what starts that fire. And it's honestly the most effective way because actually when you pour it in there, it pours and spreads out through the basket. It lights everything, whereas the tumbleweeds can give a bit of a flavor, and sometimes it gets mucky on your insides of your pit as well.
I've honestly never used charcoal lighting fluid since I was 14 years old. That was it.
Yeah, I
Don't like the flavor it imparts.
I don't think I've ever used it, and I really don't intend to. And I mean, a torch and
It's whatever you're happy with though, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you like, that's what you do.
yeah, and the easiest way, and we want these to be so user friendly. Like I keep a torch on my deck, whatever, but you can, You know, everyone with a barbecue has barbecue toys and tools, so make a torch one of those things, or a chimney.
Yeah, the chimney seemed easy. It was very unintimidating.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be just as easy as using a gas barbecue, but you know, people use these because, you know, there's a fascination for them, right?
There's a fascination and a flavor.
People like good food, man.
Yeah, it gives off nothing but good flavor, and that's something I think we've all forgotten, you know, that live fire taste, so it's good.
Cue to Mac crying.
It's gone bright red in the face.
How do I set and adjust the temperature?
You're going to use your air intake stacks. So at the top of those stacks, you'll see a louver. That louver will control the air actually going towards your fire basket. So what that fire basket's actually doing is sucking the air from the sides and then exhausting through the top. At that point, you can close those lids off to about 3/4 on each side to get that running. They run best at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where you'll get that best temperature at. Sometimes the wind and the weather will dictate how that goes. So that's the beauty of running your own live fire, so that you're in control of it. So where you position it on your deck could have effects to where the wind is actually coming through. I've tested it a few times, and I've had 2 different cooks, 2 different days. And it was different adjustments, but that's the beauty of owning one of these things. You get to know that drum and where you're gonna have that temperature set.
Very cool. So here's a random question. If it's windier out, do you want to kind of tuck it away? Like, do you want that wind to be blowing around it? Does it really matter that much, or?
It won't affect it too much. You'll be able to tell if you got a rise in temperature, but sometimes, because it is sucking air, right? So that wind can affect it a little bit. It's not a lot, but when you want to have a perfect temperature, that's where you want to be.
You just have to watch and adjust.
However, they are pretty good as their own little heat sink, and they actually keep the heat quite well with the heat shield and the way the charcoal basket is designed. That heat sink actually keeps a lot of that heat in as well. Okay. So we've tried to engineer it and design it so that you didn't have those problems when you're cooking with this drum.
Very smart.
And we've got an industrial grade thermometer on the front of it. It's a calibrated unit and very easy to read.
From the point of pouring the chimney in to the point where I can put meat on it, how long?
15 minutes should get you anywhere you need to go with this drum. As soon as you pour those charcoals in there, it's already starting to ignite the other charcoals. That being said, you can leave the lid open to kind of give it a kickstart if you're reusing charcoal, but recommended you just leave it open for 5 minutes, get that air going inside there, set your vents, and about 15 minutes, you're gonna have a drum running at 300.
How do I put it out when I'm all finished?
So you can do one of 2 ways here. You can snub it out by just turning your louvers, all of them closed, and you will snub up that fire, no oxygen, no fire. Or if you want to utilize your cook the best you can. So if you know you're just doing a tenderloin that night, but you have other meats that you wanted to do, sometimes I like to just get the full experience out of my charcoal and cook other meats for a meal prep or freeze them, just so I'm not wasting the charcoal.
Smart.
So and then you just let your charcoal burn out, and then when you're finished, you just empty that ash can out instead of wasting your charcoals.
How do I clean this thing?
Well, you can do it one of few ways. You can use your wife's vacuum cleaner. Or your husband's vacuum cleaner. You could take it to the pressure washer. You can just scoop all your ashes out, use a garden hose or a degreaser if you really want to get into it. But basically, just simple cleaning, and that's about it.
How do I change or empty my charcoal basket?
We've come up with a method. It's quick, it's easy, it's relatively clean. Basically what you do is once your charcoal is all burnt out, open the lid, take your grate out, lift your charcoal basket out, you pop it inside the garbage bag, put the garbage bag all around it. You can now take that, you can shake it, leave it there for a couple of minutes, okay? So as the ash settles, you can then carefully open your bag, lift your charcoal basket out, pop it back in your DrumBo, tie off the garbage bag, and away you go.
We do find that used charcoal can absorb a bit of moisture, and that's why it can be a little bit harder to reuse charcoal, but it is doable. But it would get a little heavy in that bag as well.
What do I have to do to get my DrumBo ready to cook?
It needs seasoning. We use all virgin steel on these drums, so we don't have to worry about, I don't know, PCBs and hydrocarbons and everything else having been in them before. But it still does need a seasoning. It needs a little layer of smoke on there just to sort of seal everything up. So you light your chimney, dump your chimney into a full charcoal basket, add some wood there, gives it a little bit of flavor inside the drum. and you're going to just let the drum run at about 300 degrees for at least an hour, and then you're ready to cook. Give your new grill a wipe with some cooking spray and some clean paper towel, and you're good to go. So 1 hour after you get your new barbecue, you're cooking over live fire.
Easy peasy. It's actually not intimidating when you're
It's not.
here.
It's not nearly as intimidating
No,
as you thought it would be,
it's
right?
not, yeah.
That's the message we're trying to get out to everybody.
Yeah.
That you should not be intimidated by something like this. This is something that is just a barbecue. It's just a smoker, and it's only a different way that we're doing it, and it is guaranteed to impress anyone you know.
That's it for today, everybody. I want to thank you guys for watching. Really want to thank Dana Chudyk from the Honeypot Eatery and Pub for being here. Thanks, Danes. Love you. And hopefully we can get together again and we can actually do an actual cook over live fire.
I would love that. You guys are supplying beer?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for watching. Check us out on our socials. Like us, share us, and buy us.
And we'll see you next time.